Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Welcome to Leaning In with Ann. I'm Ann Ferguson, and I started these little walk and talks about 2 days after I had eye surgery, had lens replacement surgery, and I started to see things that I hadn't seen before. It was magnificent, and I wanted to share it. So I jumped on, did a live. And it was so fun to just walk and talk about the things that are going on in my head that I just kept on going. So welcome. We are going to talk today about self-imposed limitations. Oh my gosh, guys, so many times there are self-imposed limitations in my world. So what this looks like is, I remember it was probably like 15, 16 years ago, there was a show called Starting Over. And it was two life coaches. First time I'd ever even heard or known about life coaching. Two life coaches in a house. And they had 6 women. They were just kind of cohabitating for, I think it was like 6 weeks at a time. And these life coaches would come in and give them activities that they were supposed to do and do one-on-one sessions. They had group activities and they had personal activities. Now, if anybody did not do one of the activities, they got really resistant. They were booted out of that house and other people came in. Why? Because they wanted people who were actually going to work on their crap, right? Really leave that house, started over, like different. So this one day, the coach brought everybody down to a tennis court. And over by the net was like one of those orange cones. The coach had rings in her hand. So she has everybody kind of lined up and talking to them and says, okay, so here is the exercise today. And each exercise always has a purpose on the back end, right? Doesn't seem like it when you're doing it, but what was supposed to happen was they were supposed to spend 4 hours. They had 4 hours to get the rings onto the cones. That's what it was. Rings onto the cones. And she said, I'll be back. So there were some people that, kind of threw the ring and it's like, this is ridiculous. This doesn't mean anything. I'm tired today. I'm going to go back and sleep. So they did. There's other people that sat there for hours and hours and hours and got done. Other people tried for a second. It was just all different, kind of their personalities, right? So 4 hours later, the coach comes back to help them evaluate what happened, how did they respond to this, what did they do, right? And so the one who had gotten really, really good at the rings, she was all excited, man. She stands up and she's like, check it out. So she throws it and she makes it and feeling really good about herself. And other people are like, this was stupid, I didn't do it. It's like one strike, you're almost out of the house. And other people, I tried, but I just can't do it. It's so hard. I've never been good at throwing things. I've never been good at carnival games. They had all the stuff. The coach grabs one of the rings, walks over, drops it onto the cone, and says, who told you you had to stand behind the line? That was one of the most profound moments of my life when I understood that concept and principle. Who told you to stand behind the line? Those are self-imposed limitations. I am just getting over a self-imposed limitation. That's why we're having the talk today, because it's usually about me somehow. Okay, so I am trying to figure out what is the best way for me to reach people, not for my own glory and fame and whatever influencer stuff, but because the programs that I've written, they change lives. I'm trying to write a business plan and I'm like, I'm not selling the courses, I'm selling the results of those courses. Like, what is it? So I actually reached out and said, hey, if you've been through this course, I would love to hear what your result is. Like in your life, what happened? How did this matter to you? I would love for more people to get grounded, the emotional spinning to stop, knowing what to do when there's something out of nowhere that kind of hits you and gets you spinning out of control. Like, how do you stay present? How do you act instead of react to everything? How do you take that emotion, that initial one that you feel, and shelf it so that you can deal with what has to happen and not bury the emotion so that it ends up popping up out of nowhere later? How do you connect with Christ in this whole process? And then those of you who are afraid to dream, like, it's not okay to dream because I just have to deal with what's in front of me. Why even look to the future? Or I can't dream because then I'm not grateful. Like, I'm not supposed to ask for more than what I have. What I've learned in life is this is all I get. If that's the case, first part of the course, we learn what to do about it, like how to manage it so that you can dream again, so that your life can change, so that you can get unstuck. And I've been trying to figure out, how do I get that out to more people? So that's why I've been on social media so much. And that's part of the walk and talks for sure. But I have heard from gurus that Instagram is the place to be. And so last month I tested it. And I kind of felt kind of married to it because I'd made a decision. And I wasn't getting the interaction that I wanted. But I said, no, I'm going to be committed. I'm going to be focused. I'm not going to be wishy-washy and keep changing my mind. That doesn't look good for people, for me to be so wishy-washy. I had a limitation that was in my way, and I could feel the inspiration kind of going away. Like, I wasn't as inspired after a while. And I have learned, rather than going, well, I'm just going to quit, that didn't work. I go, why am I not as inspired anymore? Hey, check in. What's going on? Because I've learned to honor my emotions. That's part of what we do in Joyful Heart. We learn how to do that. So my limitation was being in the place where the cool kids hang instead of the place where all my friends are. I have removed that limitation. Other limitations. I have got to write, and I've got to have a clear head. Confession time. Total confession time. What I did was ate way too many popcorn balls. My kids, they said, Mom, will you please make some popcorn balls? I used to make it for them when they were in school. I do the class parties, right? It's been years since I made popcorn balls. My mom used to make popcorn balls for class parties. And they were so good. And I way binged. I haven't had sugar for a long time. Not like that. And I way binged. Guess what? My head is not as clear today. I am tired. And I'm like, I knew I was going into a work week. Did I just put a limitation on myself so that I can hide from the things that I'm a little bit nervous about? And when I say nervous about, it's facing the inadequacy instead of what? Leaning in and just letting the Spirit flow. So when I just created my day, I actually didn't ask for inadequacy. I asked for inspiration to flow. Now I'm going to also realize that I'm going to ask for trust. But trust Him to help me trust myself. My question for you, there's a lot of people in this world who really value doing things the hardest way possible. Because they've been taught that doing it hard means you're strong and you've got grit and you can do it. That is all coming from our parents, generation before us, that were very disconnected from their feelings, right? And we learned not to feel. We learned to shove our feelings down. We learned to not be aware. And that takes a lot of grit to not feel and do it anyway. And we learned that people really support you when you're really good at squashing your feelings. Now this can be a really hard thing and actually very dangerous, right? You get the heebie-jeebies from someone and you go, oh, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to make them feel bad. So you stay in a space that probably isn't the best for you to stay in because we're taught not to be aware of our emotions. Oh, look, you could squash down that feeling of distrust and be present with them anyway. Yeah, it's not good to squash our emotions at all. So, learning how to let every single emotion be okay helps you evaluate whether what you're doing is a self-imposed limitation. So, fun story about what this looks like. Okay, enduring to the end. That is a value system that we have. We are going to be strong enough to endure to the end. What are you enduring to the end of? I actually asked that question. End of what? Like end of my life? That's a whole lot of enduring. But it's a value system that has been placed to me. Enduring to the end of the book that I do not actually like anymore. Any adults out there still doing like the book report thing where you get a book and then you push through even though you don't like it because that's the disciplined way to do? Yeah. I find that I will go into a book for as long as I need to, and when it gets boring I go, oh, that's interesting. Hey God, where else are we gonna go? He teaches me things all over the place because I stopped putting that limitation one book at a time on myself. Man, did the world open up when I can read a whole lot of books at a time and never finish one of them. So good. Okay, what other things are you enduring to the end about that is difficult and hard, but you're going to prove that you can do it? You can prove that you can do hard things. There was a gentleman that was in one of my classes, and we were going over this idea that maybe we don't have to do hard things. Maybe we can do things that come into our world with grace and ease, and it doesn't make us less valiant, and it doesn't risk our salvation. What about that? So his wife had passed about a month and a half, maybe 6 weeks to 8 weeks prior to this. He was in my class when she passed of cancer. Man, to be in a joyful art class in the middle of that grief was so good. So good. He had so much support. We were able to help him. It was wonderful and great. So now he's a single dad of 6 kids. And we'd been talking about this idea of it being hard all the time. Being a single dad is not easy. That is absolutely 100% true. And him taking on all those roles that he hadn't taken on before was daunting. That is true. So he was making some toast. And while he was making the toast, he was starting to get overwhelmed and frustrated about how hard it was to feed children. And he stopped. And he goes, wait a minute. Why is it hard to make toast? It's not hard to make toast. And then he realized that he had to go to the bathroom. And instead of taking care of his need, he was enduring to the end. He was not going to let go of the fact he needed to make his children food. He was going to be valiant. And he goes, this is ridiculous. He went to the bathroom, came back, and it was so easy to make the toast. It's not funny. Little teeny tiny things like that are actually self-imposed limitations. So today, I would love for you to look around and see, where do you feel stuck? What limitation are you imposing? And is it something that you can let other people do for you? Like, what is only mine to do? And what are things that's 100% okay for me not to just work myself to the bone to get it all done, but allow others to support me? I have got self-imposed limitations. One of which is I can't actually write unless the house is very clean. Therefore, I need to go to an Airbnb where I am not in my own house so that I can get stuff done. And then the other limitation is finances. So I decided I'm going to remove that limitation in my own head. I'm going to find my space, my time, my place to write and create. And everybody else in my house is going to too. I'm removing the limitation that we don't have enough time, that there's too much to do, that I say it all the time, and I got to change this. If everybody would shut up and leave me alone, I could actually write. That's the self-imposed limitation. I need to change that language. So maybe tomorrow we'll go back into declarations. We haven't talked about it for a while, but I need to write some declarations about what I'm doing in my life and trying to create things that I want to work for me. And so today I'm going to be aware of where have I imposed a limitation and see if I can navigate around it. I literally found some rocks to take a picture behind, and it looks like those rocks are huge and they're in my way and they're too big for me to push. And the reality is, if I step sideways, I can just walk forward. All right? So today, let's look at where you are stuck with curiosity. That's like going, yeah, I actually feel really stuck right here. Instead of the guilt, the shame that I can't move forward and everybody else can, and the hiding, like if anybody knew that I couldn't do this because I'm presenting myself as a certain way, right? Let's ask him to reveal your self-imposed limitations, because a lot of times we blame him for our limitations. We feel like he wants us to do this and that, and in order to be blessed by God, we've got to do it perfectly like this and like that. And it's not true. It's just not true. So let's ask God to show your self-imposed limitations. Let's do so with curiosity, so you can see into it like you're your own coach evaluating stuff. I love you. I love you. I love you. If this was helpful, please share. That's it, my friends. I will see you tomorrow. Have a really, really wonderful day. Bye now.